Roof leak. If you've got an RV, you've already had one, or you're going to. So the now famous Uncle Pat and I came out one morning to continue some of our modifications of Lucille, and as soon as we came in the van, this is what we saw. Since that was day one of 5 days of rain in Southern California, of course, we went ahead and tarped the van because that was the only way we could keep the water out of it until we got it figured out. While it was still raining and we couldn't get up on the roof to look for the leak, we went ahead and took a look at the fan inside so we could see what damage, if any, had been done. And this is what I discovered. All right, so here's my MaXXAir fan, right? And when the leak started, it was in that corner. So we took, the ring off. And I discovered this bowed plywood up in the top. On that side. And on that side. So the way this is supposed to go together is you got screws that come through the roof, through the fan casing, through this decking that's like, I don't know, 1/4-inch plywood, and then into these like 1x2 pieces of wood. And at first I thought, oh crap, all the water got on that plywood and made it bow. Then I got to thinking about it a little bit more, and I was like, that makes no kind of sense. Because you can see the screws that are supposed to be into the wood. And if it had bowed from the water, it would have either pushed those screws up out through the sealant on the roof, or it would have just gone up around them and not moved the screws. But the screws are up there like when they were installing the fan and the guy on the roof went zip with the screw gun. It just pulled that plywood right up and never went into, or didn't securely go into, this 1x2. Because if I stick my finger up here, I can feel the hole where that screw used to go in. But obviously, you can see it is not in there. This side is the only side that's still kinda fastened, or at least the wood is still where it's supposed to be. This side, again, you can see the screw and the bowed. And then I discovered this side, the screws aren't even in the plywood. The screws are just up there through the roof of the van and the fan thing. They're not screwed into anything. So, I mean, this whole frame moves all the way around because it's not really attached to much of nothing. So, basically, I'm losing ceiling clearance. Like, the whole ceiling is, like, not up where it's supposed to be. So anyway, that's one thing we're getting fixed, because that's not all supposed to be moving around like that, all unattached and whatnot. So the rain finally abated, and I was making my way to my friend Andrew's house anyway. So once I got there, he got up on the roof with a hose and a 5-gallon bucket of water, and I stood on the inside, and we dumped water on the roof until we figured out where the leak was coming from. All right. I hope you can hear me because the fan lid is up because I needed to get underneath it. Here's my finger for scale. Now, I checked these seals 6 months ago, and none of this was here. So, can you see this big crack in the sealant? And the big hole right here? I don't think this hole goes all the way through, but there's another little one there. And they basically feel like bubbles. Like when they put the sealant on, it bubbled. And then because the bubble was thin, I don't know what the excuse is for this nonsense, but because the bubble was thin, it finally popped, and now water's getting in. So after discovering the actual point in the sealant where the water was coming in next to the fan, you know, I thought, well, I'm up here, so let me look at all my sealant again. It'd been a few months. The manual says at least, what, twice a year? I'd looked at it in January back in Texas, but I'm up here, so let's see what we got. And what we got is a freaking mess. Alright, seriously, y'all, look. Bubble. I just stuck my finger down in that one, and it gooed right out. Winnebago. You got bubbles in all your freaking sealant. Look at that. Look at that one. Just like, look at that. I can pull it open. I can pull it open. And see all the way down in there. Look at that one. Look at that. Just, I don't know what they're doing, but they're getting, look at that. And look, when you push on it, you can see the sealant on each side of it kind of puff up because there's air under there. And it's pushing air up the sealant when I push on the bubble. Bubble. Look at that big gap in there. Bubble. I'll tell you what. Alright, here's another corner. Oh, look. I pushed on that bubble and water came out. Look at that. Look at that bullshit. I pushed on the corner and water came out. Oh, look, and the sealant is now separating. Look at that hole. I just found that hole full of water. Now, look at that. You've got to be kidding me. This is some very messy work, Winnebago. Look at there. Bubble. There's just all these bubbles in the friggin' sealant. Oh, here's a big one. Oh, water in that one too. Look. Let's pull that right open. Just pull that right out. And that's the metal of the van. And that straight edge right there is the edge of the AC unit. Look at that. Look at all this. This is all just squishy, bubbly sealant. Bubble. Oh, there's a bubble. Just pushed it. It's right into the metal. You can feel the metal right in there. Okay, so obviously what we have is a bigger issue than just one area of the roof leaking. I did grab a tube of sealant and apply it to the obvious areas that were leaking or potential serious right now leaks, and then came back up to my aunt and uncle's place and started to try to figure out where to get this thing worked on under warranty because I'm still on my 1 year, 15,000 mile warranty. I'm getting close. I'm at like 14,000 miles, but it is still under warranty. I made an appointment at a Winnebago dealership in Southern California. Long story short, I get down there and the chucklehead service guy, he couldn't find his butt with two hands. Next thing he tells me, oh, it's going to be 3 or 4 days before my tech can even look at it. What? And then it's going to be weeks before Winnebago will authorize any work, if they authorize any work. Because, this is a maintenance issue. Guy hadn't even gone on the roof and looked at the sealant yet. Then, everything was totally different from what he had told me I was just like, and I just finally looked at, I'm like, I'm not leaving my van with you. Not happening. So I got back in my van and I drove away. It was awful, y'all. This is the state of warranty repairs. That's the situation. It's awful. And if you have a bad service guy, drive away. Just drive away. All right, but I still need my van fixed, and I need it fixed before it's out of warranty. So I went to 2 local RV repair places in the area where my aunt and uncle lived. They had good reviews. My uncle had actually used one of them for some work on his boat. Anyway, so I went and I got 2 bids, and both places I went, they looked at it immediately and gave me an estimate. It wasn't 2 to 3 days before a tech could look at it. The person I made the appointment with was the tech, and they went up on the daggum roof, and both places agreed that the sealant was bad. That is not how sealant should look on a vehicle that came off the line less than a year ago. Not when I bought it, not when I picked it up from the dealer, actually off the line less than a year. So there's something wrong with the sealant from the factory. We can debate all day whether it was applied in inclement weather, it was applied incorrectly, it was a bad batch of sealant. Who knows? But the fact is that the sealant all needed to be completely removed and replaced, because you can't put good sealant over bad sealant. You're just compounding the problem. So it all needed to be removed and replaced. And they also agreed that the fan the fan needed to be, while you got the sealant off, fix the screws in the fan so it's properly attached to the van. Anyway, so I got those 2 estimates. One, I feel they grossly overestimated the amount of labor. And the other one, the one I went with, was about half the time of labor, which I felt was reasonable. It was like 6 hours of labor plus materials. And that sounded about right to me. And it sounded right to Winnebago as well. So then I'd already been on the phone with Winnebago customer service. And so they said, submit the estimates, submit photos, document. If you've got a problem, document from the word go. The second you discover it, document. Anyway, I submitted everything, photos, video, the 2 estimates. And within a business day, Winnebago called me and said, fine, get it fixed wherever you want to get it fixed, pay for it, and we'll reimburse you. So I did that. I went to the place with the reasonable estimate, and they did it in 1 day. Yeah, the dealer wanted to keep it for months. A regular independent RV repair place, 1 day. I took it in the morning. They removed all the sealant. They fixed the fan. They put new sealant on in 1 day. And they had to move a solar panel. They replaced all the sealant and all the things on the roof. Every bit of it. So that cost me, it was $770. And I got it in writing from Winnebago that they were going to reimburse me. I had to submit the invoice and the receipt. Winnebago has acknowledged receipt of those, and they are cutting me a check It will take like 4 to 6 weeks to get the check, but at least I have it in writing. I'm getting reimbursed for it. All right, so let's take a look at the sealant after I took it to the RV repair place and had them strip all the old bubbled sealant off and reapply new lap sealant. It's hard to see under the fan because I don't have it open, and it's a little dirty up here. But I will tell you, I don't see the bubbles in the sealant like I had in the sealant from the factory. Look over here. That's where the controls for the awning go in. Man, that was a mess before. Now it looks good. There's another roof vent. No bubbles. Other side of the AC. No bubbles. See, this is how sealant is supposed to look. No bubbles. Looking good. So this is how this should look. See there? See how all the wood is up against the ceiling, the roof of the van? It's all up against the roof of the van. Look, nothing moves. Nothing moves. Everything is where it's supposed to be, sandwiched together. That's what holds the fan to the damn RV. Anyway, and then when I put the ring, the decorative ring back on it, then it holds the, it holds the ceiling up. So, anyway, fixed. All right, so that's the saga of my roof leak. So what have we learned? We have learned, I'd say if you can do it once a month, do it once a month, but certainly every 3 months. Get on your roof and inspect your sealant. And in fact, now I did not do this when I picked her up at the dealer, but I'd get up on the roof when you even get to the dealer. Dealer's supposed to go up there and inspect it before they deliver it to the new owner. I don't know if my dealer did that. I honestly swear to God, the sealant did not look like that a few months ago, much less when I got it from the dealer. Now, my theory, and I could be wrong, because I'm not an engineer in sealant compounds or anything else, but my theory is that it was from the factory problematic sealant for whatever reason. But, the entire time I've had the van up until March, or February, I was on the East Coast and in the South where it's very humid. And so, I think once it got into the desert Southwest, as it were, that man, it saw no rain. It was in beaming bright sunlight and dry as a bone. And I think those bubbles just finally thinned out to the point where they became really obvious and some of them became holes. Again, I could be wrong. But anyway, so inspect your sealant when you pick it up from the dealer. Inspect your sealant at least every 3 months. Let us consult the owner's manual on sealants. Here we have the sealant information. It very clearly says, proper sealant inspection. Don't just look at it. Running a finger along sealant seams to verify proper adhesion. Well, I thought I did that, but maybe I didn't. But the fun part is, the very next page says, warning, stay off the roof. So I'm not really sure how you're supposed to inspect your sealant if you're also supposed to stay off the roof. But whatever. You're gonna have to go on the roof, stick your finger, dig in there, see what you got. If you've got one problem area, you may be able to just clean it real well and put some sealant over that. Really what you should do is you should remove the bad sealant and then put new sealant on. Anyway, so I hope this is helpful. I hope now everyone can look and see what you're actually looking for on bad sealant, and that you also understand you need to document everything, and that I am very happy with the support that I got from Winnebago customer service. You know, I wasn't happy the problem happened, but every phone call I had with them, they were totally helpful. And again, if you can't get it into a dealer, or dealer can't work on a reasonable time frame on Winnebago warranty stuff, then, you know, customer service will work with you to get reimbursed. You have to pay out of pocket, but you can at least get it done and then get a check. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you on the road.